Hello, everybody. How's Shrink? The topic for today: do you love yourself? Question mark. Let's find out if you do. If people ask, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I love myself," or "No, I'm not conceited. I don't think about those things." Either way, it's not a good answer. First, you want to find out what love is, so that you know when you're feeling it, and you know when you're giving it, and you know when you're receiving it. So what we're going to do is explore the psychology of love, but first starting with loving yourself. If you learn to love yourself, if you learn to know what the ingredients of love are, then if you know those ingredients, then those ingredients will say that I'm going to go here so I can do someone's going to be moderating here. So, all right, there we go. So anyway, getting back to the topic here, which is loving yourself, I'm going to be talking about the ingredients of loving yourself. What is love? And you can't define it specifically because love is a conglomerate of emotions, not even an emotion. It's a family of emotions. So if you just joined, I'm going to be talking about a very important question. Do you love yourself? And to find out what love is all about. So first, let's look at loving yourself. If you love yourself, first you have to find out what love is. And love has 4 components at least that I talk about. And it has to do with kindness, it has to do with appreciation, forgiveness, and devotion. I'm going to be describing each one of them, and then you rate yourself and see how you do in that area. Once you know what love is within you, and you have what I call the felt meaning, the understanding of what love is, then not only can you experience it, you can give it out, but also you know when you're receiving it from someone else, as well as looking if that person has the capacity or knowing how to love. So love is something that needs to be learned. Again, it's very important. It's a family of emotions. Love is not an emotion. It's a family of emotions and cognitions. So, somebody says, "Hey, I read your book and I have one question." What is your question? AUS. And, okay. What is your question? Not up yet? Okay, when the question comes up, then I'll try to answer. Getting back to the components of love. First, kindness. That's going to be the first one. I think that it's very important to understand that kindness is something that you first have to give to yourself. Kindness is a way of caring. It's a way of treating yourself with a sense of sensitivity, with bringing out the best in you, and not being harsh with yourself when you make mistakes. It's like kindness. It's a way of being empathic with yourself. Do you have that? That's one of the components of love. The second one is appreciation. Do you appreciate your accomplishments? Do you appreciate your gifts? And by gifts, I mean your creativity, your looks, your intelligence, your sense of humor. All those are gifts. Do you appreciate those, or do you excuse them away when somebody says something about you? Oh, you're very clever. Oh, no, not really. You have to own that first. So you have to learn to appreciate yourself and then project it out and appreciate others. Okay, now, forgiveness is another one of the components. Do you forgive yourself when you make mistakes, or do you beat yourself up incessantly? And do you just not allow yourself to let it go and learn from the experience? So self-forgiveness is a very important thing, because forgiveness of others is very important. Why? Because psychoneuroimmunologically, forgiveness is one of the causes of health. That's what I see in longevity. People that live long lives, they have the ability to forgive. Why? Because all you're doing is poisoning yourself. The other person doesn't care whether you forgive them or not. And I have a whole chapter in my book, and the Mind Body Code, one of my 2 books, that I talk about what forgiveness is all about. Devotion is the 4th. And I'll go over this again for those of you who just joined us. I'm talking about how do you know if you love yourself and how to love yourself. So devotion means that you're committed to yourself. You're committed for the long run. You're committed for the journey, not just when things are going well, but you're committed to yourself under adversity, under good fortune, And that's devotion is a higher level of commitment. You can devote to yourself. Those are the four components. So begin to ask yourself about those four components. How kind are you with yourself? How much do you appreciate yourself? How much do you forgive yourself? And how much devotion do you have to yourself? As you cultivate those things within you, and as you become really good at each of those components, then you can go out and you can say, hey, I'm going to look for those qualities in other people. And I don't mean just romantic love. I mean, romantic love is one part of it only, but it could be a love of a friend, a love of a partner, a love of a colleague. It could be many kinds. Love is the same thing. In the romantic, it has more intimacy, but in the others, it has the same components. You look for kindness, you look for appreciation, you look for the ability to forgive, and you look for the devotion that the person has to the relationship. So those are the components. Now, ask yourself which one requires work. Is it kindness? Is it appreciation? Is it forgiveness? Or is it devotion? And each of them has a way of learning how to do it. How do you learn how to do it? When you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself. Practice it. See how it feels when you do it. See how it feels when you're being kind to yourself rather than beating yourself up. Appreciation, acknowledge the good things that are going on in your life. Acknowledge, and there you're going to be learning admiration without envy, which is very important. Admiration without envy is a wonderful way to learn. Because if you admire with envy, it kills the appreciation, and you don't learn the behavior. Now, if you can appreciate somebody else's accomplishments and good fortune, then not only are you celebrating good things about you, but you're celebrating the accomplishments of other people. So life becomes very rich. Forgiveness, start looking at how you hold on to things that happened to you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you're still hanging on to it. What that does is it puts you into victimhood and puts you into a place that doesn't allow you to accept good fortune. So forgiveness is a way of letting go. It's an act of self-love, actually, to not enslave yourself in the punishment. So you forgive yourself by letting go. And as I mentioned earlier, in my first book, The Mind-Body Code, I have a whole chapter on forgiveness because it's not easy. Forgiveness is not an intellectual act. You say, okay, I forgive myself, I forget. It doesn't work that way. It's much more than that. But forgiveness is something that you can begin to look into to see how hard are you with yourself. And then devotion has to do with how committed are you to growing? How committed are you to working on your 3 levels of self-esteem that I talked about before? The valuation self-esteem, the competent self-esteem, and the affiliation self-esteem. How devoted are you to do those things for yourself? So you see, the whole idea, it is if you learn to know yourself, not just love, but know yourself, then you know what to look in other people. And a lot of people here ask about relationships. How do I find the right partner? How do you find yourself first? How do you find in yourself the partner that you want? And then it'll start working because you'll speak the language. But if you don't know how to be kind to yourself, if you don't know how to appreciate yourself or how to forgive yourself or how to be devoted to yourself, then what will happen is you'll think that somebody has that for you. You're empty. And what you're doing is you become dependent on that person because you don't think you have those qualities. And nobody can give you those qualities. You have to develop them yourself. You have to cultivate them yourself. So, yes, that's a good question for introspection. Samantha mentioned it is. You have to introspect. If you don't introspect, you'll go in, you knock, and there's nobody there. It's not just watching cute little videos or watching negative things. There's a lot here in TikTok that you can learn. And this hopefully is one of the channels where you can learn something about yourself, where you can introspect and become a better person. If you become a better person, your health improves because we're a bioinformational field of mind, body, and culture. So everything that I'm talking about here enhances your health and enhances your longevity, which is very important. And longevity is not something to think about when you're old. Longevity is something to think about at any age. And it's learned. It's a culturally learned capacity. It's not genetics. Genetics is only 20%. I've studied that with centenarians that I've seen all over the world. People who are over 100 and healthy. 20%. The rest is how they live their lives, how they perceive the world, and how to do these things that I'm talking about. They're kind to themselves, they appreciate themselves, they forgive themselves, and they're devoted to themselves. Then they can give it out. But here's what happens. Cultures teach you not to love yourself so much because they consider that to be conceited, self-serving, narcissistic, and that is not true. To be kind to yourself is to find out what it's all about so then you can give it out to other people. And you have to understand that the cultures teach you that false humbleness. When you say something to someone and you say, I love you're so good with math. Oh no, anybody can do it. That's not true. That's false. So what you do is you use gratitude. You're so good at math. Thank you for noticing. Yes, I appreciate that. It's a wonderful gift. That's it. There you go. And you certainly never say no problem, because you know how I feel about that. When somebody says thank you, it's not no problem. It's you're welcome. My pleasure. You see? So it's very important to see that. So those of you who just came in late, this video, since you know that we can only post 60 seconds, this video will be downloaded to my other social media, which is my YouTube channel. I have hundreds of videos there, and it's just simply Dr. Mario Martinez. Go there and make sure you follow so you have access to the videos when they come out. And also make sure you follow here. It's very important because I can expand my audience and I can then reach more people, which is what I'm wanting to do here. By the way, I'm wearing my signature Hollister t-shirt, and I'm not getting paid for this, just that I love Hollisters. And when you love something, you can promote it without having to get paid for it. If they want to pay me, it's fine, but I'm not doing it to be paid. Hollisters are great. And I always joke around, but I think it's important that you see this. People say, oh, Hollisters are only for people who are under 20. So you're right. But it's also for people who are over 20. So for both. So if you meet the criteria in either one of those categories, then Hollister is for you. Okay? Now, if you have any questions, then let me know and I'll try to answer them for you. But stay with the subject. Do you love yourself? And what are the things that you need to do in order to love yourself? Okay? So today the setting is a little different. I'm behind my books. And a lot of books back there. A lot of books that I've read. And I've learned a tremendous amount of information about love and about psychology, because I'm a psychologist. I'm a clinical psychologist. So what I try to do here is to share the best of what I know so you can continue to grow and you can create this little subcultural wellness that we are actually developing here. So you can feel good about yourself and so you can learn gratitude when someone says something good about you, to accept it as gratitude, not to go into the pseudo humbleness. That's just it's false, it's not real. It's just something that you learn because you were told that if you accept your goodness, you're being conceited. No, if you accept your goodness, you're being grateful. It's different. And gratitude is a powerful immunological enhancer. My area of expertise is how thoughts and emotions and cultural beliefs affect the immune, nervous, and endocrine system. It's called psychoneuroimmunology. So what I'm talking about here is that I'm teaching things that are actually immune enhancing and that are health enhancing. So it's not just something that feels good, it's more than that. It has to do with your biology. Somebody said, blessed to receive your knowledge. You're a very wise man and I appreciate being here. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you saw that and I appreciate you being here. Welcome everybody. So it's very nice to have these wonderful compliments because it confirms what I think I'm doing, which I think I'm doing something good for people. And when they tell me, it's a confirmation. But if you just joined, this is House Shrink. And the topic for today is, do you love yourself? And the question is, what is love? What is love? Well, love is not an emotion. It's misunderstood as it's not an emotion. It's a family of emotions and cognitions, not an emotion. So you have to develop it. You have to cultivate it. You're not born just with love. You have to learn. It's a process. So aloha, good morning. Is that Hawaii? We have people from all over the world. So each time we have a little contest to see who is the farthest away. Of course, distance is relative. Farthest away from me, which is in Nashville, Tennessee. And the last time a person from Mongolia got the prize. And I think the day before that it was Hawaii. But if you're, there's also people from Poland coming in and Ireland. So if you're from way out there, in relationship to Nashville, of course, let me know to see if you win today. Okay, many people are joining, and I welcome you. And it's really beautiful to have so many people here that are here. And I want you to know that I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you following my work and also spreading the word. So it's very important that you begin to see that these are life lessons that you can apply to yourself. But it also is related to relationships. I can't overemphasize that. If you look in relationships for something that you don't have, you're going to get dependent on that person because you think that person is giving you something. If you have it and you realize that what you're doing is you're co-authoring with that person, let's say kindness, that you have kindness already before the relationship, then it's a co-authoring rather than a dependence. But if you think that you don't have something, then you look for kindness in someone else. And when that person's not there, you don't feel the kindness. So you become dependent. Here, when you learn the 4 components that I'm discussing here about love, kindness, appreciation, forgiveness, and devotion. When you learn those, then what happens is that you look for those qualities in other people. And you will then co-author those qualities with other people. And that is a formula for a good and lasting relationship. It's very important. And one of the reasons why it's important is because it'll allow you to see immediately a narcissist. The narcissist actually, there's a self-esteem disorder. The narcissistic personality disorder has to do with low self-esteem. And you would think, well, how can somebody have low self-esteem if they think they're wonderful? It's an overcompensation for how they really feel about themselves. A narcissist doesn't have the ability to be kind to others. They don't have the ability or the choice to appreciate other people. They certainly do not forgive. And they're only devoted to themselves, but not to the good self, but to the narcissistic self. They don't know how to get out of themselves. It's me, 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 and me, and what about me? That's it, nothing else. Narcissists do not make good relationships because they cannot get out of themselves to see your goodness. They always find something wrong with you. It's always you to blame. It's always you who's being unfair, and they're really good at it. Actually, they make normal people feel like they made a mistake. And you end up apologizing for something that actually the other person needs to apologize. So these lessons are also an antidote to narcissism because they don't have those qualities. And if you develop those qualities of those who just joined us, if you develop the qualities of loving yourself using kindness, appreciation, forgiveness, and devotion, then you could see a narcissist a mile away. When they're coming, you can smell them. Oh, here he comes, or here she comes. Nope. By the way, they're only in the normal population, in the population of the, when I say norm, I mean the norm of the bell curve. Only 5% of the population have a narcissistic personality disorder. And the women would like this. Out of those 5%, 75% are men, only 25% are women. So they're more male narcissists, 3 times as much than female. There are some female narcissists, yeah, but mostly it's men. It has all kinds of anthropological and sociological and psychological reasons that I could talk about in another presentation, but this one is about how do you love yourself? And do you love yourself? So, first ask yourself deeper, more introspectively, do you really love yourself? And if you say no, look for those 4 areas that you need to develop. If you say yes, look for those 4 areas to see which one is actually good and which are the others that need a little work. So either way you win. But it's about cultivating, developing, becoming better at something, just like riding a bike. You become better at love by learning how to love yourself. If you do this outside of yourself, if you just love other people and you don't look at loving yourself, what happens is you become dependent and you become a caretaker and you begin to give things to others out of fear of not being loved. But if you feel good about those four components, if you're kind to yourself, if you appreciate yourself, if you can forgive yourself, and if you can devote to yourself, then it'll be easy to love other people. It'll be easy also to clean out the emotional vampires that I talk about. The emotional vampires take from you in those four areas, and they manipulate you, and they make you feel worthless sometimes, because that's all they do. They get up in the morning and they say, okay, whose life am I going to screw up today? Because I'm so good that the world is bad and the world is wrong, I'm right. That's a narcissist. That's the unhealthy narcissism. Now, in other videos, I've talked about the healthy narcissism, which I hope that you watch. You can go to my YouTube channel, because you know that I can't post anything other than 60 seconds. But TikTok allows the possibility of downloading this to other media. So what I do is I download it to my YouTube, which is Dr. Mario Martinez. That's my channel. And you can go there and you can watch all these videos, the whole thing. This one will be posted tomorrow, and it'll be premiering tomorrow at 2 or 4 o'clock, at whatever time that is. And by the way, I'm on Central Time. So anybody from somewhere way far from Nashville, Tennessee, let me know where you're from and see who wins today. As I said earlier, last time Mongolia won. That's quite a distance from where I am. So see if you can let me know where you're from, especially if you're way the hell out there. Okay? So I can then welcome you from your country or wherever you are. Make sure that you let me know. Okay, so those of you who just joined, I'm talking about, do you love yourself as a question. And if you do, then look at the 4 areas that I've talked about today, which are kindness, appreciation, forgiveness, and devotion. See if you're good in those areas, or if you need some work. Either way, you have the components of love, at least the way that I look at it from my theory of mind-body science. And I think it works really well, because think about it. If you love someone, you're going to love, if there is a healthy love, you're going to love their kindness when they treat you well. You're going to love how they appreciate you. You're going to love how they forgive you. Sometimes you're expecting something negative, and they come with a rose. Well, it's wonderful. And then also devotion to yourself. If you find those qualities within yourself, you're going to be able to look for them in other people. How do I love myself? I never understood that well, that this is all about. Nobody teaches you how to love yourself. So this is why I'm teaching you how to love yourself. And you have to look at the ingredients that I bring out. How kind are you to yourself? How much do you appreciate yourself when good things are going well? How much do you forgive yourself? And how devoted are you to yourself? How committed are you to yourself during good and bad times? So that's how to do it. It takes, I'm oversimplifying here, of course. This is a life journey. You take those components and you take it as a life journey. Okay, I'm going to learn to be kind to myself. I'm going to learn to appreciate myself. What does it mean to appreciate? When you do something right, when you do something good, something laudable that has value, acknowledge it and appreciate what you did. Forgiveness, learn to forgive yourself. Don't keep holding on to things that are bad for you, because actually you have stress hormones when you do that, and it's not good for you, not good for your health. And then, of course, devotion is how committed are you to the higher levels of you? How committed are you when things are difficult? How committed are you when you make mistakes? How committed are you to improving yourself and becoming a better person? All of that has to do with devotion. So, if you just joined us, House Shrink here, talking about the question of, do you love yourself, and the 4 components of love as I see it. Again, which are then kindness, appreciation, forgiveness, and devotion. And if you join late, you'll be able to watch this whole video on my social media. We can download this to my social media, which I do on a regular basis, on YouTube. YouTube channel, Dr. Mario Martinez. Go there. This one will be on tomorrow. It'll be premiering tomorrow. at 2 or 4 o'clock. I'm not really sure, but it's Central Time. Okay, so I'm winding it down now. Anybody from a faraway place in relationship to Nashville, of course, let me know to see who wins today, or where you're from, and where you're watching this video from. It would be good to know. I've been looking at the stats, and we're getting more international, getting people from Poland, Ireland, from UK. UK is always second to the United States. So Croatia has some people from Croatia also. So it's really great to see that they're from all over the world, because TikTok is a good medium to be able to promote good things, and unfortunately sometimes not so good. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I am going to be wrapping this up so you can have an opportunity to go do whatever you need to do today. And I want to thank you for joining me. And what I do ask you is to go to my channel, House Shrink, and follow. It's more important than like. You can do both, but follow is very important, because that allows me to reach more people. The other thing you can do is you can share this information. If you find it helpful to you, share it so other people can have it. Remember, it's free. I'm a clinical psychologist, not doing therapy, but giving you educational materials so you can grow. All right, so I think I'm going to be ending here now. People keep coming up, and I get, all right, one more time if you have any questions. But we do have to end it at some point. And I didn't hear from anybody telling me where you're from, to see how far you are from where I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee. So no, I didn't come here to be discovered in the music business. I came here to go to Vanderbilt. So that's why I'm in Nashville. And I've left Nashville for years and then came back. It's a great place to live. Really a good place. It's beautiful. Okay, so quite a few people are joining now, and I'm about ready to leave. So again, I'll tell you, this is about, do you love yourself as a question? What are the components of love? And how do you practice loving yourself? And the components are appreciation, kindness, forgiveness, and devotion. And I went through all of these different ingredients. And if you missed it, you can go to my YouTube channel. And the name of the channel is Dr. Mario Martinez. Very simple. Go there, and you'll be able to see this video tomorrow. It'll premiere. But I have hundreds of videos that you can go and see, free of course, with all kinds of information that if you're a serious student of self, I think you'll get quite a bit out of it, and you'll find it very helpful to you. So until next time, thank you for joining me, and don't forget to follow me on my TikTok, House Shrink, and on YouTube. As I told you before, YouTube, hundreds of videos, simply Dr. Mario Martinez. So enjoy, have a wonderful day, and be kind to yourself. Enjoy.